We're just about 24 hours away from the first Dolphins game of the season, taking on the Jacksonville Jaguars on Sunday to open up this 2024 campaign. And on today's show, I want to ask and answer some of the Dolphins questions going in to week one from the real ones here on the channel. I am Nic Rohloff. We'll start with Zach coming in with a question saying that we need Malik Washington to step up while Odell Beckham Jr. is out. I could not agree more. OBJ will miss the first four games of the season at bare minimum, after he was placed on the PUP list to start the year. And Malik Washington, who's the 6th-round pick from Miami in this past NFL draft, he might have to have his number called pretty early, because when you look at the Dolphins depth chart, it's Tyreek Hill, Jaylen Waddle as your top two guys. And then behind them, you have Braxton Berrios, Malik Washington, Grant DuBose, who you claimed from Green Bay. And I would not expect him to be able to really give you anything. And with River Craycraft on IR as well, you're really going to either have to rely on your tight ends and running backs to alleviate some pressure from Hill and Waddle in the pass-catching game, or you're going to have to rely on Braxton Berrios or Malik Washington. I don't think Berrios is that good of a wide receiver. He brings all of his, productivity on the special teams end. But Malik Washington is someone who's really good with the ball in his hands. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to create a lot of separation if he's thrown into a wide receiver role in the slot come week one. But if they get him a lot of gadget touches, end arounds, pop passes, screen passes, then maybe he can start to give Jaylen Waddle and Hill some, added help so they don't have all the pressure on them to create in the passing game. All right, we are going to be live this upcoming Sunday against the Jacksonville Jaguars. First game of the season, first real watch party of the year. Make sure you subscribe and join us, because we're going to be live on Sunday, but we're also live for every Dolphins game this upcoming season. So hit that sub button, join us. It's going to be a ton of fun. All right, LJC, my guy coming in here. Do you think De'Von Achane will be the number one on the depth chart by the end of the season? Listen, I wouldn't look into depth charts that often. I think that is something as fans that we put a little too much stock into, is the actual depth chart. I don't really feel that it's that important, because to me, the best players that will play on any given day, like for example, the first depth chart that was released from the Dolphins this past Tuesday, Jonnu Smith was listed as the backup fullback. That's not his role. That's not his position. He's a tight end. He's just a playmaker for this Dolphins offense. Jonnu Smith isn't going to be behind Alec Ingold and get no playing time, right? Like, Jonnu Smith, I expect to have a pretty big role in this upcoming game tomorrow against Jacksonville. So I wouldn't put too much into the depth chart. I think De'Von Achane will end up being the running back of the future for Miami in tandem with Jalen Wright after Raheem Mostert probably leaves this season. But I wouldn't put too much stock in the depth chart, but I am pretty bullish on De'Von Achane's future in Miami. Chris Latimer with a question. Do you think the offense will use tight ends more in the passing game this season? Absolutely, Chris. I have been on record saying this for quite a while now. Ever since they made the signing of Jonnu Smith, I felt way more confident in this depth chart at tight end for the Miami Dolphins. When you just think about what they have had over the first two seasons with Mike McDaniel, right? Like, they've only had Durham Smythe and Mike Gesicki, Durham Smythe and Julian Hill. They just haven't had the talent at wide receiver, or tight end, that you'd like them to have. And that's why with Jonnu Smith coming aboard and Durham Smythe being that tight end 2 rather than tight end 1, I really do feel like they are going to be much better for this team. And I believe Jonnu Smith will be a gadget player, but also run routes over the middle of the field. One of the best yards after catch tight end in the NFL, in the top 3 alongside Travis Kelce and George Kittle. He's going to be someone that makes a difference for this Dolphins team this year. Make sure you are subscribed, like I said a little bit earlier. Join us for this watch party this upcoming Sunday. It's going to be tons of fun. You will not want to miss a thing. I promise you that. Live, me and Joey Peterson breaking down the action on Sunday against Jacksonville. Come and join us. Mike Nintendo Master. Will Hill or Waddle play week one? Oh, Mike, yeah, they're playing. Jaylen Waddle got out of his red non-contact or injury jersey, shirt, whatever you want to call it, earlier this week. Signified he's going to be good to go on Sunday. Tyreek Hill is also going to be just fine. I would not sweat out any of these two wide receivers. I think they are going to be playing for sure. Confidence level for the Dolphins week one against the Jags. Scale it 1 to 10 for me down in the comment section. No rookie scores, folks. Give me your actual confidence levels. Also, no rookie scores. Like I said, Decimal points are included. Don't give me a normal random number. Tim with a question. What happened to our salary cap money got wiped out? Yeah, so a lot of us Dolphins people thought the Fins had about like $25 billion in cap space. Evidently, that is not the case. It's much more closer to none cap space than 25. It's, I think, because of some of the extensions that the Dolphins had, they threw around. Also, practice squad players eat into that as well. Nothing crazy, but they did not lose money. They're still in a surplus. It's not like they have to shed money this upcoming season. They don't have to do that whatsoever. Instead of having 25, though, you just simply don't have much. Tyreek Hill's extension might have, in the guaranteed money, might have taken a little bit of that as well. So, listen, I'm not sweating it too much. If the Dolphins need to create cap space to trade for someone at the deadline or sign someone due to an injury, I don't think they will ever be held back. Kevin with a question. Do you think Malik Washington and Chop Robinson will play against the Jaguars? Actually, I do. And if you watched yesterday's video in the 5 burning questions surrounding the Miami Dolphins, I actually talked pretty heavily about how the rookies for Miami, how much will they play? Because there's 4 rookies that have a chance to make a pretty large impact in this game with Mohamed Kamara, Chop Robinson, both at the edge position. Then you talk about Jaylen Wright and Malik Washington on the offensive side of the football. Malik is going to be on the field, and sometimes as a slot receiver, maybe even out there as a kick returner or punt returner. Braxton Berrios is listed as the main kick returner and punt returner on the depth chart, but it wouldn't surprise me if Malik Washington got some reps there because we saw him be very dynamic with the ball in his hands in the preseason. So I think Malik will be on the field. I think Chop Robinson will be as well. He's likely your 3rd or 4th edge rusher. It's going to be Agba and Phillips, your main top 2 guys. But with Jalen Phillips still coming back from that Achilles injury, he says he's completely fine, but who knows if he's on a pitch count, which could only lead to Chop Robinson getting more run in the game. And it's going to be a little bit of an interesting move because Chop isn't the best defender of the run. So if he's out there for an extended period of time, the Jags might run it down right at Chop Robinson. So that is something that I got my eye on for. But yes, these 2 rookies will play on Sunday. Make sure you get your plays in this Sunday and beyond with Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app and platform with more than 5 million active members. It's so easy to play, and it's the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps, on Prize Picks, you just play against the numbers. You don't play against other people. You just pick 2 or more player stat projections, pick more or less, and you can watch the winnings roll in up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. Want to play Prize Picks alongside Drewski, Joe Budden, MMA champ Sugar Sean O'Malley? You can now find Community plays under the promos tab of the app to view entries from some of the biggest names in the Prize Pick community each week. Unfortunately, my name isn't big enough to be on that Community Plays tab. Probably should be, though, because I'm probably more smart and informed than they are, which is maybe why they're hiding me. But either way, I got an entry for the first week of football. More than Tyreek Hill receiving yards against Jacksonville, 91.5, which means I also think Tua is going to go more than on his 255.5. And then I'll look over to our AFC East rival in the New England Patriots, where I actually think they temper Joe Burrow, who knows if Jamar Chase will be playing in that game. I'm going to take the less than on 252.5 for Joe Burrow. This is a 3-player entry to win 5 times my money, but like I said, you can customize your own entry to win up to 100 times your money with 4 correct picks. So download the Prize Picks app today and use code CLNS to get $50 instantly when you play $5. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks, run your game. All right, next question coming in here from Jaden. How do you think Tua's season this year will stack up against his stats last year? Let's go Fins. Actually, this is a great question, Jaden, and it's one that I've semi-answered in the past because when he was not extended, we talked a lot about how Tua improved from year 1 with McDaniel to year 2 with Mike McDaniel. He led the league in passing yards last year with 4,600. Only had 29 touchdowns to 14 INTs. And I think that is the number that's going to change. I think the passing yards will likely stay around the same. I think he'll throw anywhere between 43 and 4,600 once again. It'll be tough for him to repeat as the passing leader in the NFL because I do think Miami is going to be more conscious of their run game, and with their 3 running backs that they have that are so good, I think they're going to use them more this season. But when you think about the touchdowns to interception ratio, I think that would improve. I think maybe Tua is going to be at 4,400 yards this year instead of 29 touchdowns. Takes a leap up to 35, and then the interceptions come down from 14 to 10. So to me, my prediction for Tua, let's go 4,300 yards, 35 touchdowns, 10 INTs. Yards come down, but the number of interceptions go down and the touchdowns go up. Who you got week 1? Jags, Dolphins. Let me know. Get your final votes down in the comment section. MIA for the Fins, JAC for the Jags. All right, Mike Nintendo Master coming in again. Should the Dolphins look to sign another offensive lineman? Well, yes, but here's the issue that I have with this. Not question. It's not an issue with your question because it's a good question. But answering it. Because realistically, there are not any offensive linemen that are still out there in free agency that would really make a difference on this Dolphins team, right? Because let's be honest, 24 hours to go until game time, why wouldn't they be signed by another team, right? So, they're not going to come in and make a difference on this team. If someone gets banged up, sure, maybe they go out and sign a veteran that is still out there. But if the Dolphins want to seriously improve this interior offensive line and they struggle out of the gates against Jacksonville and Buffalo, that will likely have to be done through the trade market. And then that's when we could have a different discussion about who can be available in the trade market before the deadline in late October. Andy Amigo with a question here. Dolphins and Hurricanes to win it all this year. How big will they be? Listen, there's no denying past Saturday that Cam Ward and company looked extremely good against those Gators down in Gainesville. Listen, if you're betting these together, that'd be quite insane. A little 305 special. Why not throw the Heat in there too? But I want to think the Dolphins could win it all. I think they have the roster to do so, but it's all going to be about how they do in the regular season. If they are hosting games in the playoffs, then I think they can win. I think they can. I think they can make it to the Super Bowl if the Super Bowl runs through Miami. But I still am skeptical if they have to travel to Kansas City, travel to Baltimore. I'm really not scared of Buffalo, to be honest. I don't think they're going to be that good this year. But if you have to go to Baltimore, to Buffalo, or not Buffalo, to Kansas City in January, it's going to be tough for the Dolphins to do. But if they have to come to South Beach, well, that's a different story. Final question here. JB with a $5 super chat. Shout out to you. Dolphins, is it realistic for the Dolphins to be undefeated at the halfway point of the season? I do. And I'll pull up the schedule here again just to make sure I get my actual numbers right here. But I believe it is very, very doable. You start at week 1 home against Jacksonville. I think it should be a win. Week 2, you play the Bills on Thursday Night Football. I believe that is going to be a win. So then you have to travel to Seattle, which arguably might be the hardest game in your first 2 months of the season, because traveling across the country, I think the Seahawks are better than what people think they will be, and I think they're going to be a playoff team. So that's interesting. But then you got the Titans, Patriots, Colts, Cardinals. There is a legitimate chance here that when you are through week 8, which will be 7 games for the Dolphins due to the bye week, you could be 7-0. I think you need to be 6-1, at worst 5-2, to have a chance to win the division. But when you are going to Buffalo in week 9 on November 3rd, the Dolphins could absolutely be 7-0. I think it's possible, and I don't think it would be surprising to me whatsoever. Make sure you are subscribed, and like I said, we are going to be live on Sunday for Week 1, Dolphins, Jaguars. The season needs to get kicked off in the right manner, and you need to be joining us for this watch party. We're going to be live an hour before pregame, so 12 p.m. Eastern Time, 11 p.m. Central Time. So make sure you hit that sub button and join us on Sunday.